I've gotten emailed a few questions here, and we'll go over them on Wiley Plus. The first question was 7.2, number 9, and you can see the answers infinitely. This is just like the fractal that you see on the beginning of each screen as we record and have the studio recorder showing the screen over and over again. So infinitely, you do need to spell that correctly. Also in 7.2, I had been asked number 21. So there's a number of different stages for the Koch curve. This particular one is at stage 2. If you Google the Koch curve, you'll see different stages in the images that show up. So let's look at images. Oh, not, we don't want the Koch curve, we want the Koch stool. So the first image of the Koch stool, the first iteration is right here in blue. So you have these 5 line segments. They're all the same length. The space in the middle has been removed and these 3 pieces have put in. Then the next iteration is to shrink this down and replace each of these 5 line segments with that. And so that's what you see right here. So this is the second iteration. Each of the 5 line segments now has this little Koch stool on it. Let's see, what did I have? Yeah, that was what I had. So that was the second iteration. And then the third iteration would put a little tinier Koch stool on each of these. So you'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Koch stools on each of these 4 branches. Let's see if we can see one of those on here. So that would be right here. So each of these line segments on the second iteration is replaced with a Koch stool, making this the third iteration. Stage 3. Some other questions, so you might have a different picture than me, and that's why I showed you those other stages. Let's go ahead and look at 7.3, where I was asked several other questions. I was asked number 3. So here's the Sierpinski carpet, and when we ask how many versions you need to make a new version 3 times as large, we just think of taking this little corner in the bottom left. You see how that's 1/3 the length of the whole carpet? So this little corner is 1/3 the length of the whole thing. You see there's 3 white squares in it, and there's 9 white squares in the whole length. Well, you need to take this and make 8 copies of it and paste them together. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you need 8 copies. And then I got asked Mindscape number 8. So I think I'll draw you a picture of this. So we have a parallelogram. And this parallelogram can be, you can make copies of it and make a larger parallelogram. So if I make 1, 2, 3, 4 copies, that makes a larger parallelogram. So you need 4 copies, and we had S to the D is N. So the scaling factor, this is now twice as wide. Scaling factor is 2. And the number of copies was 4. So the dimension is 2, which is what makes sense, right? It's 2 dimensions. So 4 copies to make the parallelogram twice as large. And then number 10, here's the Sierpinski carpet, and you're supposed to compute this, the dimension. So we actually did that in class at the end of that real short video that we had. So you can go ahead and look at that one on the short video. And then number 11, here's the Koch stool again, and we're getting the fraction, the dimension there. So there's 5 copies, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to take 5 copies of this and shrink it down and put a copy on each of these 5 line segments. and that makes it 3 times as long. So this whole thing is 3 times as long as this little piece where you're going to put the next iteration. So the scaling factor is 3, and the number of copies is 5. Let's go ahead and see what that means for the dimension. So you can go ahead and use s to the d is n. So 3 to the d is 5. And go ahead and work until you can find what that is. For these, it's a little easier to do a little math and come up with the formula. The dimension is ln of 5 over ln of 3. So ln of n over ln of s was another formula that we looked at as a way to find the dimension. On a quiz, this might be easier. You don't have to get a calculator with ln on it then. So in my calculator, I get 1.46, and then see the fourth digit is 9, which is 5 or higher. So I round the 4 to a 5. 1.465. So that's all the questions I have gotten emailed. And again, this question number 10 is answered on that short video that we had on Wednesday, the 24th.